The night was unusually silent, the kind of silence that carried an unspoken warning. The winds that usually whispered through the old banyan trees had stilled, and the street dogs that roamed the deserted roads of Bharmapur were nowhere to be seen. Something was watching. Somewhere in the heart of the village, inside a small, dimly lit house, Priyam Sharma, a man in his early 30s, sat hunched over an old, dust-covered journal. The ink had faded over time, but the words still held their weight, words that spoke of a bridge between the living and the dead. Priyam wasn't a believer, at least not until his younger sister, Kavya, had died a year ago. It was a death that shouldn't have happened. Kavya, bright and full of life, had been found hanging from the ceiling fan in her room, her eyes wide open, frozen in horror. The police had ruled it a suicide, a tragic end to a young woman's life, but Priyam knew better. He knew that she had been pushed to the edge by a man named Siddharth Malhotra, a wealthy businessman who had used his power, his money, and his cruelty to destroy her. And now Siddharth was dead too, but his death had not come from human hands. Priyam had read the news in shock. Siddharth had been found in his mansion, his body twisted unnaturally, his eyes clawed out, his mouth frozen in a silent scream. This was no normal death, the article had said. It was as if something inhuman had killed him. Priyam closed the journal, his breath shaky, because he knew the truth. Kavya had returned. For centuries, it was believed that suicides and unnatural deaths created a rift between Lok, the world of the living, and Parlok, the realm of the dead. Those who had died without peace, victims of betrayal, cruelty, and injustice, were given a chance to take revenge. But there was one rule: only God has the right to punish. If a spirit took revenge unjustly, it would become an anomaly, a broken soul, forever trapped between the two realms, hunting, haunting, and never finding peace. Priyam knew that Siddharth had deserved to die, but something about his sister's revenge felt wrong. Had Kavya crossed the line? 2 nights after Siddharth's death, Priyam heard a knock at his door. When he opened it, he found an old man, dressed in saffron robes, standing there. His eyes were deep, ancient, filled with something beyond human comprehension. "You must stop her," the monk said. Priyam felt his blood turn cold. "Stop who?" The monk stepped inside, his presence unnaturally heavy. "Your sister has walked the forbidden path," he murmured. "She has not just taken revenge, she has broken the balance." Priyam's heartbeat thundered in his ears. "What are you saying?" "Siddharth killed her. She just did what he deserved." "No," the monk's voice boomed. "Justice is not for the dead to deliver. She has defied the laws of Parlok, and now, she is no longer your sister." Priyam's hands trembled. "Then what is she?" The monk's expression darkened. "She is now a Pret Atma, a cursed soul. And she will not stop at just one death." Priyam didn't believe it at first. Not until the deaths started piling up. First, it was Siddharth's closest friend, Varun, who had also been involved in tormenting Kavya. Then, it was his lawyer, the man who had silenced Kavya's case when she tried to file a complaint against Siddharth. One by one, they were all dying in unnatural ways, their bodies found twisted, mutilated, their faces frozen in terror. But the most terrifying part? Every victim was found with their hair cut off and placed in their own hands. It was Kavya's signature. That night, as Priyam stood before his bathroom mirror, splashing water on his tired, grief-stricken face, he saw something move behind him. His breath hitched. A shadow, thin, too tall, too distorted, stood in the reflection. A whisper crawled into his ears. "Bia." Priyam spun around. Nobody was there, but when he turned back to the mirror, his sister's face was right behind his own. Her eyes were hollow, her lips stitched closed with black thread. Her hair floated around her as if she were underwater. You should not be here, Priyam, she whispered. The light in the bathroom shattered, and the room was plunged into darkness. The monk's words rang in Priyam's mind. She will not stop. And now, Priyam understood the truth. Kavya was not just killing her enemies anymore. She was erasing anyone who knew about her story. And now, she was coming for him. Desperate, Priyam returned to the monk, begging for guidance. How do I save her? He asked. The monk shook his head. You cannot save her. You can only set her free. Priyam felt a lump in his throat. How? The monk's voice was grave. You must take her spirit back to the temple where she last prayed before her death. There, a ritual will be performed to sever her ties to this world. But be warned, she will fight. She does not want to leave. Priyam felt the weight of grief and guilt settle over him. I will do it. That night, Priyam lit the lamp at the old temple, the air around him thick with a presence unseen. Then she arrived. A gust of freezing wind swept through the temple, and Kavya appeared, her form shifting between the sister he had known and the monster she had become. Bia? She whispered, stepping toward him. Why are you doing this? Tears stung Priyam's eyes. Because this is not who you are. Her face twisted in fury. You think they deserve to live, after what they did to me? No, Priyam said, his voice breaking. But this is not your justice to deliver. You deserve peace, Kavya, not this. The monk began chanting, his voice reverberating through the temple. Kavya screamed, a scream that shattered the very air, making the walls tremble. The temple lit up in golden flames, and Priyam watched as his sister's form flickered between life and death. She was losing her grip on this world. Bia, please, she begged. Priyam's hands clenched into fists. You must go, Kavya. A tear slipped down her face, and then she was gone. The air stilled. The fire died down. The world was silent once more. Months passed. The deaths stopped. The air of Bharmapur became lighter, as if a storm had finally passed. Priyam never stopped missing his sister, but he knew she was finally at peace. And somewhere in the divine balance of the universe, justice had been restored. Because in the end, revenge did not belong to the dead. It belonged only to God. The end.